Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Oh, hi, my name is Nomsa Clara Mbe. I'm the founder of Offspring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Ngosi Talk Shows. So basically, some of you might say, oh, why should we listen to Ngosi Talk Shows? So Ngosi Talk Shows will help you find your own voice, lead from within. And over to you, Amanda. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Amanda Cottrell. I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I am an author, a teacher, and an illustrator, and I am the founder of Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves because I believe that everyone is creative.
Why are you quiet, Amanda?
I'm not sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And it's bright and early here. It's only 6 a.m. So good morning and good afternoon. And Caroline?
It's good afternoon here from London. And as the... I go blank. It's afternoon here. And yes, as the writing facilitator, that's the words I was after. I help soul-driven entrepreneurs with becoming more productive with their writing. So they don't get stuck and forget and go blank. They can actually experience that free-flowing writing. And they experience getting their book written and getting their story written. Because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has actually come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. So I'm happy to be here again today in this new year, new journey of talk shows and discussion. I'm looking forward to today's topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol. And so our topic today is how making connections with the right people can change your world. So Amanda, you chose this topic. Would you like to explain the topic to our audience? Why you chose it and what it means to you?
Well, I'm reading this book by Brene Brown right now called Atlas of the Heart. It's her newest one. And in it, it says connection. Connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, valued. When they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. So I think that's something that's a really good quote, an important quote, because if you're not gaining something from the relationship, or if the relationship is holding you down or back, then it's something that you should maybe consider. Oh, and I just had another quote up on my phone, but it disappeared. But I think that also for me, once I started surrounding myself with really good and positive people and people who help push me to become a better person, my life has changed as well. And I think that when you can get rid of some of the toxicity in your life, that you're just so much more driven. It's that quote as well as you're a combination of the 5 closest people to you. And if you surround yourself by with 5 like people who drag you down, then that's what you're going to be as well. And if you surround yourself with 5 really driven people who have your back and who are there for you, then they will help lift you up. And so I think that quote is so important, is look at the 5 closest people to you, and those connections are so important. Caroline, what do you think about this topic?
Yeah, I when I saw it, it's like a lot of things came to mind. But the phrase, actually, the right people, sometimes we don't know whether they're the right or the wrong person. People show up in our lives. And I had a lot of thoughts as all these people that have shown up over the years and I've had a connection with, and they've had an impact on my life. Things have changed, and then they've drifted away. And when you're talking about the right person, there has been one person in particular came to mind who turned out to be quite toxic in many ways. But the amount of time that I did spend with her, the work that I did with her, was really quite amazing. And we had a great connection together. We did a lot of work together. And then things shifted. I started shifting myself and opening up. And I got a sense of, she started then pulling away because she felt she couldn't control me anymore. And then I could see the relationship for what it was. And then she just drifted away. I've not seen her in years. And it was interesting because I was only thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, why am I thinking about this person? And I pulled up some emails, that a conversation we'd had, and I remember thinking, wow, why have I still got these? Because this interchange that we had really was quite bizarre. And I remember thinking, it's like, she agreed to pay me for some work that I did with her, but then didn't pay me. She managed to wriggle out of it. And it was, and I think it's all a game that we were playing at the time. It was all part of my growth at that time. But the more I worked on myself, then I found that people like that just drift away. And so sometimes they are in your life for a while, and it's learning what they've come to bring you. What have you come to learn about yourself through that connection? And yes, she did help me. Things changed for me in many ways at that time. And then I was able to move on. So there have been many people I've met, and my life has changed. And one in particular, again, people show up at the most unexpected times. And I met a lady who was advertising to do reflex. She did reflexology and was offering a free 15-minute session. And so I took that free 15-minute session. And in that time, I booked another session with her. And then when we were talking, it turned out she was training in kinesiology, in muscle testing for foods and allergies. And she needed a case study. So I became her case study. It opened up my world to kinesiology, and something I'd never even thought about. My life then changed around me with my eating, and my allergies shifted. The reactions that I was having in my body changed, and I became happier, and I wasn't crying as much. I wasn't as depressed, and things lifted. And then I heard about Brain Gym, and then ended up having another conversation with somebody else that just opened up. And through that, I then found a way of supporting my daughter with her, challenges at accessing learning. And then again, my whole life changed because I then decided to train in Brain Gym. So it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, you meet someone that they impact your life. But I only saw that lady for a while she was training. Didn't see her again because I'd moved on. But she came into my life at the right time. And it is amazing how people show up in these connections we have. And it is through conversation. And the more we can talk with people, listen to them, and have those conversations, it is amazing how our life can change. And I often look at, well, who's around me? Why am I a bit stuck? And so I'll go in and I'll work on myself, because sometimes it's not easy to just step away from those people. But I've found the more I work on myself, they'll just go. Or they'll change and they'll up their game, you know? So interesting topic. And yes, looking forward to exploring it even more. So thank you for bringing it up, Amanda. So what are your thoughts, Nomsa?
My thoughts, basically, I agree with Amanda that you have to be careful who you connect with. You have to choose your tribe properly, basically, because there are some people that can drag you down. There are some people that are there to basically for a reason. And also, basically, when you connect with somebody, you have to be authentic when you meet people. It's like with businesses or with work. You have to be really authentic. There are some people that when they meet people, they're like, it's like what I can get from, like, people make connection with me, and you can tell if somebody is actually connecting with you because of your status, or they are connecting you for what they can get. So you have to, it's like you guys are the speakers. There are some speakers that are come to Ghost Talk shows. They basically, you can tell when they are talking to somebody that they are after fame, not serving the audience. It's like they want to know whether are you big or not, and if you are big, how are they gonna play the part of them being recognized with your audience? And I'm like, but you have to play the part for you to win the audience, not me giving you my audience. So you basically, who you connect with, you have to make sure that it aligns with what your values, it aligns with those people, aligns with your beliefs. It's like there are business clubs around here where I live. So these business clubs, it's like you turn up, and you sit at the table, you talk about what you do, and you pass around your business card, they pass around your business card, and then you have to go in groups and see if somebody else can help you with their network. And those kind of connection, to me, they don't work. Basically, I don't pay any money anymore. When I started my business, because I didn't have the knowledge, I used to pay thinking, yes, I'm going to get the connection. But I realized that the connection that I get is the connection when I go to a business event and go and talk to people. Free business event, I talk to people, I tell them who I am, and they tell them who they are. We swap contact, then we make an effort to keep in touch with each other. I make an effort with them as well, basically to make sure that I'm showing a genuine interest, and I help them out with their business genuine. I don't have to pay anything, but then I realize the ones that I have to pay, that person is there for a reason. With what I can get from Hope Springs Tenant Introduction Agency, I'm looking for clients. Basically, that is the mindset, and that is psychology. So you can't blame those people. And so I was like, I thought it was me. I was like, this doesn't work. I cannot find clients like this, until I found somebody on YouTube that was telling me the same thing, that those kind of business events where you have to pay and go and swap business cards, they are in it for not a proper collection for clients. But how can you refer clients to somebody you don't know? Because you have to connect with that person yourself, see their character, their attitude, and their beliefs, their values, and then say, okay, I've got somebody that will work well with you, and then you start referring people to them. So that's what, for me, the connection is about. Even with the other matchmakers, I'm in the group with other matchmakers, but I find it hard that, because I don't know, maybe it's just me. I have a business that I have worked so hard building, And then for me, connection is if I'm referring my clients, I have to get to know you. I have to sit down with you and get to know your business. But if I have to connect with you on WhatsApp and you telling me that this is how we network, you're going to give me clients, I give you clients, I say no. So I was like, no, that's not how business works. And even one Chandler, she said she did learn that the hard way, that she basically used to go to people that do what she does, and then she will connect with other people, and then send clients there. And when those clients, if they are her clients, and those clients don't get the service that they should get, they sue her. And she said, I got sued for basically referring my own clients to somebody who did exactly something that I did, because I didn't know that just because my company it looks after clients, it doesn't mean that the other person, they will do the same. So that's when I've learned a really good connection, that you really have to get to know somebody. You have to ask questions, get to know their beliefs, meet them up for coffee, make an effort, and then start sending clients. If you have clients that you want to work with them, just start helping them out. But you can't help somebody you don't know. So that is that connection for me. That's what I understand. And Carol Anna said you have to work more for your. You have to, if you can't connect with people, work on yourself as well, because it might be something that the knowledge, lack of knowledge within you. So you have to work on you as well, so you can connect with people properly. So I agree with you, Carol Ann, on that one. So that is my understanding. Over to you, Amanda.
I really like what Carolyn said about how certain people come into your life and they teach you something, and I think that's something that's
Why
really
are you so
important.
quiet? Is it just me?
I think so. It's as loud as it really is.
Okay, when you lean forward, it's better.
Okay. And I was just I found the quote that I had up this morning. Sometimes you block your blessings by allowing people to be in your life that should have been gone a long time ago. And I think that's something really important. It's not necessarily the people that come into your life and teach you something. It's how long you're holding on to certain people in your life. And I think that's something that we really need to be conscious of. Because if there's people in your life who are holding you back or who are draining your energy, you really need to be conscious of it. And if it's something that's really draining your energy, or someone is really draining your energy, how can you protect yourself from that energy drain, and how can you connect with people who are going to lift you up? And I think that's something that's really important, is just even necessarily being conscious of it, being conscious of who's draining your energy, being conscious of who's lifting you up, and just starting to recognize that, because there are certain people who really drain us, and we might not even be conscious of it. And once you start to become aware of that, like Carolyn was saying, that she's been sitting back afterwards, recognize certain people have come to teach her something. And I think that's something very different than what I'm trying to talk about too, is because those people, I think there's so many people that come into our lives, but I think that when you're conscious of who you're bringing into your life and conscious of who your closest circle is, that's when changes really start to come. And well, I completely agree with you, Carol-Ann, that there are certain people that come into your life to teach you something. I think that these really close connections that we make with certain people, those are the ones that you want to foster, the people that you want to help lift you up and to help you grow. And even connecting with you guys live so far away from me, but you've helped to lift me up and helped me learn and helped me, like, we're on this journey together, even though we've never met in real life, where we meet every Tuesday and we talk, and we're trying to help empower other people, and empowering other people is something that's one of my passions. And I think that that I can surround myself with other people who are trying to help and empower others, and to really help people heal from within. Because I believe that we can truly heal the world when we start helping people heal within themselves, one person at a time. And so while connections that we make may be people we see every day, it might even be people that we've never met in real life. Like I never met you guys in real life, so but I've made a connection with Nomza, I think through Facebook, like the women's helping women entrepreneurs group over a year ago now, and just making connections. It might not even be people who you meet. You just meet the right person at the right time to connect you into what you need to for your next stage. And that happened to me when I wanted to write children's books. I happened to just get tagged in some posts, and I ended up meeting someone who taught me how to self-publish on Amazon. And so you meet the right people at the right time to teach you what you need to know, because originally when I was going to write my first book, I was just going to make one copy and it was going to be in my classroom and I was going to use it in my classroom. I had no intention of writing books for the world. I just wanted to write certain books that I wanted and needed in my classroom. And so I believe that, like Caroline said, you meet people at the right time and you work together for specific reasons. And meeting those people that helped me learn how to self-publish has been so empowering to me. But again, when I first started self-publishing, I was talking with them constantly, and now that I know how to do it, I've kind of moved on from that. And I still, like, we're still friends and we still talk and stuff, but not as intensely or as much as we did in the beginning. And so I think I just really think it's something to be conscious of who you surround yourself with, because connections and who we connect with really is part of our human experience.
It is very much, and I think you're right, it is a part of our human experience, because as human beings, being social and having connections is part of what we're about. And this pandemic time and lockdown has really caused a lot of problems because it's increased loneliness. It's given that isolation, and it has really brought out that fact that we're much better if we can connect with people. And being able to connect online has been a saving grace. But actually we're seeing someone in person. When I've been out a few times last year towards the end and met up with a couple of my friends, I felt alive. You know, we were together. There was this 3D-ness that happened. That's the only way I can explain it. And I felt alive by the end of the day, having been in their company with the conversation. And it's not the same as having those conversations online, but at least we have been able to keep connected through this time and have conversations, which has kept me going. It's kept them going as well, I know, because I love this quote by Daniel Goleman, and he said, "Self-absorption in all its forms kills empathy, let alone compassion. When we focus on ourselves, our world contracts as our problems and preoccupations loom large. But when we focus on others, our world expands. Our own problems drift to the periphery of the mind and so seem smaller. And we increase our capacity for connection or compassionate action." And I thought how true that is, because when you're isolated, and when I know I've been on my own, and even though I live with family, very often I've been times in my room I felt isolated. I've gone inwards and I've thought more and more about my problems. But then when I've reached out and I've connected and had a conversation, all of a sudden it seems so different. So really recognize, and as you were saying, Amanda, awareness is key. Being aware of what is happening to yourself, aware of if a relationship is one that has come to its end, or is it one that you're hanging on to? And what are you hanging on to it for? Because I know I actually hung on to my marriage for too long. And I was scared of going out on my own. You know, okay, I had the children, but it was like, I really believed I wouldn't be able to survive out of that relationship, as much as the relationship wasn't really, I won't say healthy, but it wasn't a healthy one in that respect. And we weren't doing each other any good. And it did come to a point where it stopped. And it took, we were married nearly 24 years. But really before that, I think it had come to a point where we ought to have said enough now. Because I know when I talk to my children and things that they say, and I'm thinking, was I so preoccupied in that respect that I wasn't really aware of the impact on them? You know, and I think that's sometimes where you can get to. So it's waking up. And since I've stepped out of that and I've then stepped into the personal development field, that opened up, oh gosh, so many different worlds for me, because I kept meeting different people. And another world would open up. And then I'd meet someone else who'd introduce me to another set of people and another group. And it has been just this magical adventure since. And I'm now 22 years on since my ex-husband and I parted company. 22 years, and it's like, where's it gone? It's been quite an adventure, you know, and I'm still here and I survived, you know. So our fears can hold us back. So we really need to be aware of them. And, you know, there are ways of dealing with those fears and those limiting beliefs. And, you know, if you don't know how to deal with it, reach out to one of us, because we have tools, we have ways of being able to transform those fears and limiting beliefs. Because by stepping out of where you're in, which is actually a comfort zone, as unhealthy as it might be, what is outside that comfort zone is really where the growth is. And for me, it's not about stepping outside the comfort zone. It's about expanding it. Because if you expand it to include something that you're putting off doing, if you turn around, it's like a circle around you. All of a sudden, there's a whole load of other things that you find that come into your world that you hadn't even had any awareness of. And I know that was certainly true for me, and it's still happening even now. I meet up with people, they introduce me to something else, and I'm going, oh my goodness, there's a whole different world here. And I am meeting more people who are more positive, more successful. And I feel like I'm now rubbing shoulders with a whole lot of more different people. And all the ones who were in my past, I often think about them, but it's like they're in my past. And their way of living is not how I live or think anymore. And so I've had to allow myself to let go of them. And if we meet up again, we do. If we don't, we don't. And that's how it is. And sometimes you have to accept that. Sometimes you can reach out. I know many years ago, I did reach out to a friend, and it things showed up. And I remember thinking, oh, I still wanted to see her, but it had done its course. And our friendship was based on something that she was not expecting it that way. We would just meet up each week. And she was saying to me, but you never rang. We never rang each other apart from to say, okay, we are, you know, we're going next week, we're meeting up, yes, but our conversations were never over the phone. and there was an expectation that I should have rung. So I remember thinking, it started to put things into perspective for me, and I was able to then just let it go. But I've just sent blessings. There's no anger, recrimination, or anything. It's just thank you for an amazing time that we used to have together, and I've now moved on, and I can let that go. So really recognizing that awareness is key, but it is reaching out for support. But keep those connections coming, and people do come into your life, and they can be a mirror. And for me, that's very often where I'll look at the mirror, and that for me is the lesson as well, because it's like, well, what part of me are they mirroring? And if there's something that they're mirroring that I don't like, it's like, and I very often I won't like to look in, but when I do, and I find it and I work on it, it shifts. That relationship shifts. Absolutely amazing how it does it. So it is, you can take charge of your own life. You don't need to be termed a victim. I always look at the fact that I'm a creator of my life, and I've asked these people to show up for a reason. And sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable, but when I sit with that and I work with that, it is absolutely amazing what you can shift. And as I say, how that relationship then changes. And it may continue in a more healthy way, or it might just drift away. So, but certainly foster those connections that are uplifting. I certainly agree with you there, Amanda. Yeah, recognize them. And it is about listening. When you've got a connection, it is about making it about the other person, listening to them when they're talking. Ask questions. Focus on getting to know them as a person. It's not about, as you were saying, Nomsa, it's not about how many cards, can I get rid of and collect? and that left me cold. And I don't do that at networking events. If somebody I find myself talking to, I like to then get to know them a bit more, and not just about collect their card and think, because it just goes in somewhere and I lose it. So it's making those connections and making that effort to get to know somebody. And over time, I found that those connections have strengthened. And maybe I didn't see them for a while, and then they pop up again. And it's like, wow. And then they might introduce you to somebody else. And so it's a dance. It really is a dance, these connections. So what sort of dance do you like with that, Nomsa?
Yes. I love that, Carol Ann. Basically, we did an event, the last event we did in 2000 before the lockdown. And it was a dating event, and I did with one of the girls. We met through somebody on Facebook, and we connected. So we decided to do the events. So we complemented each other. So we did an event, and the whole day, Des arranged the event. So when we did after the event, there was a guy that started crying. So we asked him, why are you crying? And he said, when I saw the end, he was like the dating and stuff, and I came here thinking that I'm gonna just get to know people and I just go home, basically connect with women and go home. But I've got more than basically I came here for, because we did break the chains and we did self-love. So basically we were collecting and making them do the work, basically making the audience do the work. So when they were doing the work, and at the same time, when somebody does the work, you connect with them. And if you're showing them, this is, if you don't control somebody and say, okay, we're going to do this in your own way, but using my knowledge. So and this guy was so in tears, and other people started going off as well. And I was like, that's what the event is about. We're not just here basically for you guys to connect with people. We're just here to connect and basically show you why you're single, and so you can recognize. He recognized basically why he was single and why he couldn't. He was the mistakes that he was making and the things that were holding him back, finding that special person. So I was like, yeah, that's what we do basically, because I basically met them. I was training them. I met them. They signed the document allowing to lock themselves with chains and stuff and say things out loud. So that's what Amanda was saying, that surround yourself with people that are basically want to empower others. And that's what it's about. And when I find with those audience, they were there. We were there as coaches, but I didn't look at them as audience. We started working together. It was so beautiful because they were basically wanting to give whatever the information they have about themselves. They wanted to give their present, basically to show that I'm here to win. I'm not here just to watch. I'm just here to basically to work with you so I can see, I can connect with you. And basically, you teach me what you know, I teach you what I know. So it was so amazing. And Carol Anna, you're saying basically you have to focus on other person, others, instead of focusing on you. I've noticed myself since I go into personal development and working on myself, I don't focus on me anymore. But before I go into personal development, I'll basically, if I'll just focus on myself and the things didn't work. But I find that if I just focus on helping other people, things just, the world just expand, as you said, Carol Ann, and things just happen, and God is able to. Because when you connect with people, you pray about your problems, and then God brings people as angels to help you, and it will be up to you to actually make that connection properly. And I find that when you connect with people and you are like, how can I serve you? And people have that. Basically, they will have time for you. They will have time to actually help you so that you can help them out. And I like when you say you thought you wouldn't survive with your husband, the fear cannot. Look at where you are today. It's so amazing how what fear can do to us. And I think we all had that fear in our lives anyway. So I had that fear as well, that I thought I wouldn't survive if I do this, if I don't do this. And there's some people that you meet sometimes, and then you think if I move away from them, I wouldn't survive with them. But then you realize that actually I can. Like Amanda was saying, that there are some people who come into your life to change you or basically to crush you. So I did a talk with a few weeks ago that there are four people that come into your life, either to bless you or either to crush your life, or some people just come your life to add value into your life. So you have to be able to recognize those people. And also, if you pray to God or ask the universe and say, this is my desire, this is what I would desire for now, the universe will say, okay, you want to try to help you to build your business. Okay, I'm going to bring somebody who's going to waste your time. So I need to test you whether do you really, really want to build your business, and then bring somebody to waste your time. And it will then be up to you to love from the distance to say, oh no, this is not kind of a relationship that I want. Because Carol Ann, you were saying, basically you have to be the creator of your destiny in life. And it meaning basically everything, that way the path that you walk through it, you have to create that destiny yourself. You have to be able to say yes or no, have a voice in your life and lead your life. So I love that, Carol Ann, and I love, Amanda, when you say people come to your life to teach you something. Yes, they do. So over to you, Amanda.
I totally agree that people come into your life to teach you something, but you also are in control of how long they stay in your life for. And I think that's something that we really need to be conscious of, because even with family members, sometimes we can really need space from them, or they can be toxic to your life, and you don't understand how toxic and draining they are until you take a step away. And I think that it's different for everyone, whether or not they have that capability to respectfully step away and connect with people that are going to lift you up and make you. I know so many people over Christmas and over the holidays just had to spend time with family members that they maybe really struggled with, or maybe are really triggered by. I know I have friends who were very triggered by their in-laws and really struggled with having to be around them over the Christmas holidays. And it's something that they're really conscious of, and the fact that they're very triggering to them. So I had to talk them through, like, how can you take a step away without like causing lots of stress, and what can you do, because you can't change how they're going to treat you. You can only change how you react. And so I think that's something that's really important too, is if there's people in your life that you can't necessarily take a step away from, maybe you can change the way that you're going to behave around them, or you can find some ways to distance the time that you have to spend with them, especially if they're really triggering to you. Because I know many friends that really struggled over the holidays with having to deal with certain family members, or with certain in-laws, and that time to be conscious of, why are they triggering me? What is it within me that's causing this to be a trigger and to be a frustration, and to make me spiral, and to make me feel less than good about myself, right? And so I think that's something we just need to be conscious of and aware of. And when we find those triggers, and we feel that certain people are triggering us, look within and find what it is within yourself that is causing those people to trigger you. And then even journal about it. Journal about why it is that those people are specifically triggering you, and what are those feelings that they're bringing up, and then how can you best approach the situation if it happens again. And so I think sometimes all we have within ourselves is to be able to say, nope, I need to just not see you for a while. Or maybe they can still hang out, but only in certain small chunks of time. Or maybe they can do it, but every time the person says something that's triggering, or does something that's triggering, they can go and do something or say something to themselves like, I can handle this, I can handle this, I can handle this, for the amount of time that they have to be around that person that's triggering to them. Because I know that there's certain people that are so triggering to me, and I have to find ways to deal with it. Even within the workplace too, that's sometimes something. I know I'm so lucky right now that I have this teaching team that is so fantastic that I teach with, but at different times in my career I've had not as positive teaching teams, and I found that very triggering, that just my work style and their work style didn't work well together, and that was a real big learning process for me. But also a couple years ago, when my principal asked me if I would change grades, because I'd taught grade 3 for like 10 years, my first question to her was, who will my team be? Because if my team isn't good, then no, I'm not trading grades. But if I'm going with another like strong team, then I will. And so it wasn't about what grade I was teaching, it was about who I was going to be teaching with, because really it didn't matter what grade I was teaching, it mattered who I had to work with. And I think that's something that's you have to be really conscious of too, if you're given a chance to move or change in your job. What is it that's going to make you successful in that? Because I knew changing grades for me would be really difficult if I had to work with a difficult team, but having a really supportive, positive team, I knew that I I would really love changing grades too, because I was getting a little bit bored of teaching grade 3 forever and ever. So yeah, especially through what we've been going through right now, and I know in Canada lots of the schools are locked down again, and mine as well, at least for a week, that having a positive team and a supportive team is one of the most important things to me, is who I have to work with every single day. And I think that that's something that we need to be conscious of, is who's triggering to us, why are they triggering to us, and then how can I handle it?
Yeah, I agree, and I was thinking just that, and some of those points that you were making, and certainly with family. For me, I've realised that actually, although they say you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. For me, what I realise and I feel that we actually come in having chosen our family, because they're actually our biggest life lesson. They're the biggest lesson for us to learn, and very often we push it away because it's so in our face, it triggers us so much we just can't deal with it. But what I've realized is by actually facing that and finding a way of dealing with it, there's some really huge lessons for us to learn there. So that's how I now deal with things like that. But one thing you can do, and I do love what you were saying, Amanda, about journaling it, writing down what are the triggers, getting to know what the triggers are. Definitely doing that. But something I suggest people do is actually draw a picture, or just draw those people, who they are, on a piece of paper, put you in the middle, and then put them in different parts of the piece of paper, and just write words, how they're making you feel, how you're being around them, anything that comes to mind. Use different colors, draw some pictures or something, but represent it on a piece of paper. And then you can do some work around that to shift that again, because it's looking at who you're being with them. And if you're being controlling, you're being angry, you're being not loving, not respectful yourself because you're being triggered, then it's about being able to transform that, who you're being. That once you've written all that down, drawn it onto this piece of paper, just look at the words that you've written. And maybe if you know emotional freedom technique, tapping, you can create yourself a tapping script and just do some tapping around it. Just one very simple few points, just tapping the top of the head and just saying all the words that are there, this person and how they make you feel, and that person, how they make you feel. Just tapping that one point can actually shift something. Another thing you can do is hold, there's 2 points on the forehead here, halfway between your hairline and your eyebrows, just the points. And they're called emotional stress release points. And what they do is they just help you to come out of that negative part of the brain, and it brings your attention to the forefront here, which is where the positive thought can arise. And in Brain Gym, we actually call them positive points. And it just it releases that stress around it. And then you can get a fresh piece of paper, put yourself in the middle, and draw these people again. Do you put them in the same place in relation to you? What can you now write about them? What is now possible? What colours do you use? And then notice what changes with that relationship. And I know I've used that technique with a few clients a few times, and they found that their relationship with family members has shifted. So again, that is another technique that you can use. And I love, what you were saying, Amanda, about journaling it. So this is, again, another step on, and then you can just journal again. Well, what's now possible here? And rewrite the story. Again, you're being creator of your own life, your own relationships, and how they're turning out. As all of us keep saying, you can't change the other person. You can only change you. But somehow, in doing that, the other person changes. But have they really changed? Or is it you? The dynamics has changed, so you're allowing them to show up in a different way. So it is an amazing thing that you can do once you have that awareness and you take control of it. So be aware of those triggers and know that you can do something about it. Awareness is key. It's very much key. Nonsa, anything else you want to add in there?
Basically, for me, I will just add to what you just said, or Carol Ann, what you just said. She just said basically journal everything. And Carol Ann said, be the creator of your own life. Basically, you can't change other people. What I've noticed in life is you cannot change other people, but you can be a role model for them. You can speak your mind and speak your voice by doing something, not trying to change people, because the people watch what you do and they watch what you say as well. So just have a mind of being a good role model to the society, to people around you. Then people will follow you. And even if you feel that there are some people that are closest to you that are not basically supporting you or connecting with you properly, they will connect with you when the time is right. So don't waste your time trying to change them, trying to become what you are. Remember, I always look at myself when somebody else does exactly what I used to do. I look at myself where I used to be, and I say, if I can change and be who I am today, that means that they can. Their time has not come yet. All I've got to do is just have to keep putting course and being positive. When the time is right, they will change, but I'm not going to let them hold me back. So I just move away. I move on with my life and keep going. So I know that if they're meant to change their lives, they will change it for themselves and not me forcing them. So just create your own life and create your destiny. Surround yourself with people that are basically that have the same values and same beliefs with you, because it's very, very important. Values and beliefs and principles is very, very important to have support in place. Basically, and nurture your relationship with people. That's all I can say. And over to you, Amanda. Any words of encouragement before we leave?
I think so much of who we connect with really has to do with how we feel about ourselves. And when we start feeling better about ourselves, we start making more positive, loving connections. And when we learn more and are really authentic with who we are, we start to understand why certain people have come into our lives and why at certain times in our lives we are ready to move on. And I think that's something that's really, really important. And to look within first. And then once you've looked within first and you're able to heal some parts of your life, then the connections that you make will, you'll start to attract people who are on that higher vibration and you'll continue to attract people on that higher vibration. And I think that's something that's so important, is to really connect with yourself first and think about how you're going to change your vibration to connect with in more meaningful ways.
Absolutely. I love what you've just said, Amanda. And for me, I'd just like to leave people with a quote by Rachel Naomi Remen. And she says, the most basic and powerful way to connect to another person is to listen. Just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. A loving silence often has more power to heal and to connect than the most well-intentioned words. So listen. Be prepared to just listen and be silent, because it is very powerful. And you'd be surprised at the connection, the depth of connection you can have with somebody when you just listen. So be willing to explore. Know life does carry on. You are supported by the universe, and whatever changes you make in your life, you can survive. You can survive. You can get through it. There are ways. And just remember, you are the creator of your life. So Nomsa,
Thank you
anything
so
else
much.
you'd like to add?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. Please go to our page, get in touch with us, and connect with us, and connect with the whoever the coach that you would like to connect with, and watch your life being transformed. And God bless you, everyone. Live with grace.